Welcome to Spring LIB.
So this question is asking us about a species of bird called an albatross, which I'll just label with an A here. And we'll start with its lifespan, which it says is quite long. It can be about 60 years, which is an incredibly long time for a bird. Um, but then the additional information that they give us is that sexual maturity, or the time they start breeding, is delayed for the first about 8 or 9 years. So it's a pretty long chunk of time before they become sexually mature. And they say kind of vaguely that this is much longer than the average bird. So let's just compare it to a sparrow, um, which has a much shorter lifespan. It's actually only about 3 years. So it's much shorter than the albatross. Um, but then let's consider their sexual maturity, which can be as early as about 6 months old. So that's down to like half a year, zero point 0.5. So when we compare these two species, uh, thinking about the challenges that each separate species may face, when we consider the albatross, an albatross needs to survive for 8 years before it can start producing offspring, whereas a sparrow can only need to survive for about half a year. So that's the kind of key point that the question is appearing to highlight with the information that it provides. So let's look through the specific answers they provide. So, um, what might be a risk to the survival of albatrosses? The option A says there's an increased chance of individuals dying before reproducing. And A is actually going to be the correct answer to this question because, as I said, they need to survive for 8 years. Imagine they only survive for 6 or 7 years, then that individual is going to die without producing any offspring to carry on the species. Whereas let's consider a sparrow. Even if a sparrow only survives for 6 months or a year, it will still have the opportunity to reproduce already. So these other options, B, decreased lifespan of individuals, would not be an issue for the albatross. Even if its lifespan were cut in half, it would still live for 30 years, which is an incredibly long life for a bird, and it would still be able to reproduce in that time and provide offspring to sustain the species. Uh, increase C says increased chance of offspring dying. That actually seems less likely, given that the albatrosses reproduce so late in life. These individuals would actually likely be well equipped to care for their offspring, so it's actually unlikely that their offspring would die. Um, and lastly, decreased chances of mating between individuals. Um, that doesn't really relate to the information we're given here. Um, there could be a small reduction in likelihood of individuals mating, given that they have to become so old. But the more direct answer to this question is that increased chance of individuals dying before reproducing poses a risk to survival of the species.